the divine souls. I've been explaining to you that the ultimate aim of life for every soul is to attain God. And this aim is the same for everybody because everybody is an ansh of Bhagwan. And God is perfect happiness. So by attaining God, we will attain perfect happiness. We can only attain Him through His grace, however, and that grace is attained or received through surrender. In order to become surrendered, we have to follow a path. Because our mind is already attached in the world, we have to make our mind become attached to God. Out of all the paths that are described in our scriptures and by saints, they all come in three categories: karma, jnana, and bhakti. So from yesterday we started to discuss about the path of karma. The path of karma means the path of good actions. As I mentioned yesterday, although the Vedas are very extensive, 100,000 mantras, yet they're divided into three major sections or three major topics. Those mantras that relate to the path of good actions, the path of karma, dharma. Those mantras that relate to the path of jnana and the path of knowledge, and those mantras that relate to the path of bhakti or devotion. And Shri Krishna also mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Yogastrayo maya prokta nrinam shreyo vidhitsaya jnanam karma cha bhaktischa nopayo nyosti kutrachit. He says these three paths outlined by me in the Vedas are the only three paths to God. There is no other way to reach God. So we have to look at each of these and understand which is the right path for us. Yesterday we started looking at what the scriptures have to say about the path of karma, and we found many apparent contradictions. That on one hand the path of karma is praised, and on the other hand it is criticized by the very same scriptures. For instance, in the Gita it says, Yah shastra vidhi mutsrijya vartate kamakarata nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na parangatim. Shri Krishna is saying, I made all the do's and don'ts, all the vidhi and nishedh, and I revealed that in the Vedas. So they're my rules. And if someone doesn't follow those rules, then he will not attain perfection, he will not attain happiness in this world or in the next world. Yet, in the same Gita, Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Hey Arjun, the topic of karma in the Vedas keeps you within the three gunas of Maya, Sattva, Raj, Tam, and you have to go beyond that. In other words, you have to go beyond those teachings related to the path of karma that are in the Vedas. So you see, it's hard for a person to decide that is the path of karma recommended or is it not recommended? Which is it? If you look in Ramayana as well, you find some criticism for the path of karma. It's okay, you don't... आप लोग बैठ सकते हैं, कोई बात नहीं, वो किसी को डिस्टर्ब नहीं होगा, बैठिए ना, बैठिए, कोई बात नहीं. Just making noise. It's very quiet noise, it's okay. It's not even as loud as a cell phone ringing. So the Ramayana also says regarding the defilements or the illnesses that afflict the human mind, that we all have some illnesses. Just like physically we're affected or afflicted by 3 types of imbalance according to Ayurveda. We have the Vata imbalance, the Kapha imbalance, and the Pitta imbalance. 3 different ways that the body can be out of balance. Similarly, Ramayana says that we have Karm, Lobh, and Krodh. These are the 3 main imbalances of the human mind. So Karm is compared in Ramayana to the Vata Rog. Lobh is compared to Kapha Rog, and anger, Krodh, is compared to Pitta Rog. They're related, you can say. They're related to that disturbance in the human mind. But Moha sakala vyadhina karmula. The root cause of all such disturbances in the human mind is moha. And moha means the attachment of the mind, which creates like a moha also means kind of like you can't see clearly. You're under the effect of those worldly attachments, so your perceptions of the world become distorted. And because of those attachments, you learned previously when I was describing about the nature of this world, that where we have attachments, desire for that thing arises. And then if we get that thing that we desire, we get more desire for that thing. In other words, greed is born. And if we don't get that thing, we feel frustrated or angry. So because of Kam, we get Lobh and Krodh, and Kam exists because of the attachment of the mind. So Moha Sakala Vyadhina Karamula. The root cause of all the disturbances in the human mind is attachment. And then you get those 3, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, and then those 3 combine to create many, many more. So Tulsidas Ji says, Ek vyadhi vasham nar marahi ye asadhya bahu vyadhi. He says, even if one of those, physically speaking, Vata, Kapha, Pitta, even if one of those is out of balance, it can kill a person. They can get ill and die. So, Eka Vyadhi Vasha Naramarahi, a person can die from one such illness, and yet our human mind is afflicted by Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Irsha, Dvesh, Mad, all of these defilements, arrogance, false pride, jealousy, envy, hatred, dishonesty, hypocrisy. We've got all of these things afflicting us at once due to the different combinations of Kam, Krodh, and Lobh. So he says it's amazing. How are we surviving? How is a person even alive when he's afflicted by so many illnesses of the mind? So someone may think maybe by following the path of karma, one can cure those illnesses of the mind. Tulsidas Ji says, Nema dharma achar tap yoga yagya japa dana bheshaj puni kotin kariya ruj na jahi hariyan. He says, no, none of those means will help. He says, try thousands, millions, billions of times by doing name, dharma, achar. This is all different ways of describing the path of karma. Name means all the formalities that you have to observe in behaving properly with other people. How you respect your elders, how elders are supposed to treat younger people, how are a husband and wife supposed to interact together. All of these rules. Name, dharma, achar, tap means austerities, yog, yagya, Vedic fire ceremonies, jap, counting by saying a mantra and counting how many times you've said it, counting on jap beads, dan, giving charity. These are all part of the path of karma. And Tulsidas Ji says, Bheshaj puni koti na kariya ruj na jahi hariyan. Your mental illnesses will not go away. And I don't mean mental illnesses like schizophrenia or something like that. Just Kam, Krodh, Lobh, just these ones that afflict every single person, which you don't have to go to a doctor to get diagnosed with. You know you have these things. We can't be cured, Tulsidas Ji says, by following the path of karma. So, it seems very hard to sort out. Is the path of karma recommended in our scriptures or not? Even if you look at Bhagwan Ram's avatar, everyone knows he's Maryada Purushottam Brahm. He perfectly followed all of this name, dharma, achar for his whole descension. Yet look in his family. When he was going to the jungle to obey his father's agya, he told Lakshman that father is in no state to rule the kingdom because he's so distraught with our departure. And if his subjects suffer because he's not ruling correctly, he may go to Narak. As a result of that, if a king causes suffering to his subjects, he may have to go to hell as a punishment. So Lakshman, you stay and look after father and make sure that everything is taken care of in the kingdom. You know what Lakshman's answer was? Guru pitu matu na janau kahu. Who is my mother? Who is my father? Who is my guru? Ram, you are my everything. I don't know any mother, father, anybody other than you. So I'm going with you to the jungle. You want to give me talks about dharma and karma and all of this? No, save those talks for someone who's qualified for that. I'm not qualified. I don't know anything about karma, dharma, going to swarg, all of this. I only know you. That's it. So I'm coming with you to the jungle. Same thing with Sita. Sita, don't come with me to the jungle. Stay with the family. Nope, I'm coming. See, all of this behavior appears to be against the teachings of the Vedas. And as the teachings of the Vedas are related to this path of karma, it is exactly against the teachings. Prahlad Ji says, Mata nasti pita nasti nasti me svajano janah. Didn't he directly disobey his father? His father said, don't worship God, worship me. Our Vedas say, Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. You should respect your mother and respect your father and respect your Guruji as God. As you would respect God, you should respect them. And here he's getting a direct agya from his father. Do not worship God, worship me. I'm God for everybody around here. If I hear of anyone worshiping Vishnu, there's going to be trouble. So, what did Prahlad do? He directly disobeyed his father and kept worshiping God. In fact, when his father sat him on his lap one day when he had been away at the Gurukul, demons have Gurukuls also. Prahlad was born in the Asur race. So he grew up around other Asuras, the demons, and they have a Gurukul to teach their boys, their children, how to be demons. Proper demons. So there they weren't teaching any devotion to God. But one day when Prahlad Ji came back, his father asked him, oh, what are you learning there in the school? And he said, oh, they teach us to sing God's name all the time. That made his father very upset. So he scolded the gurus over there, threatened them. You better not be teaching that. No, we don't know where he's getting these ideas from. Another time he sat his son on his lap and said, "You tell me what makes you happy." And he described 9 ways of doing devotion to God Vishnu. Navadha Bhakti. So you see, he's in direct disobedience of his father. Isn't this against the teachings of the Vedas? The gopis were grihasthis. They were family people, married with kids. Many of them, some of them were young enough they were unmarried. But when Shri Krishna played on his flute announcing the beginning of Maharas, it was the middle of the night. All those gopis left their house, left their family, and in the middle of the night went and met with Krishna in the middle of the jungle. So when they arrived, Shri Krishna, he asked them, "Oh, how have you come? Why did you come here?" Gopis are thinking, how is he asking us such a question? When he played on our flute, the divine power in that flute, through his power of Yogamaya, actually stole our heart and mind. So wherever the heart and mind are, the body is obviously going to follow. So we had no control. We had nothing to do with it. He stole our heart and mind with the sound of that flute, so we went running to where he was. And here we arrive, and he's saying, "What are you doing here? It's the middle of the night. You're young ladies. You shouldn't be out alone in the jungle. You should be at home." Bhartu shushrushanam strinam paro dharmo hyamayaya tadbandhunancha kalyanya prajananchanuposhanam. Bhagavatam. Shri Krishna is lecturing the gopis. Do you know that your supreme dharma, your supreme duty, is to look after your husbands and your children and all your relatives? What are you doing here? You left all of them to come here? Don't you know that's against the Vedas? If you do such behavior, you might have to go to Narak, whereas if you do your dharma, you might get to go to Swarg. He's giving them a lecture like this. So gopis listened for a long time. In the end, they answered Shri Krishna. Because he was telling them, go back right now, get out. So they said, Yat patya patya suhrida manuvrittiranga strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatvayoktam astveva me tadupadesha pade tvayishe preshtho bhavan stanubhritang kila bandhuratma. They said, "O Krishna, you are the husband of all the souls. Patim patinam." It's said, you yourself have said it in the Vedas. You are the husband of all the souls, so you're the husband of our husbands as well. And you have brought us here tonight by playing on your flute, and we're not going anywhere. We're stuck to you. So you see, the gopis, who are considered to be the highest saints even by Brahma, he says, Shashti varsha sahasrani maya taptam tapa pura Nanda gopavrajau strinam Nanda gopavrajastrinam padareno palabdhaye tathapi namaya praptastasam padarenava tasam vai padarenava. Vrihad Vaman Puran. Brahma is saying, I did tapasya for 60,000 celestial years in order to attain the foot dust of the gopis, but I could not qualify to receive it. So high they are. So high is their class as divine personalities. Even the Vedas desire the foot dust of the gopis. Great Jnani saints like Uddhav desire the foot dust of the gopis. And here the gopis are openly disregarding the laws of the Vedas, even though Krishna, who himself is the maker of those laws and the keeper of those laws, and he's directly telling them, go back, and they're openly defying him. No, we're staying here with you. Just as Sita openly defied Ram, and Lakshman openly defied him, and Prahlad openly defied his father. So all of this can create a lot of confusion regarding the path of karma. So now we have to sort all of that out. To sort all of this out and understand exactly why all of this is so, we can go to the Gita again. Because in the Gita, Shri Krishna describes 4 kinds of karma. Karma, vikarma, karma yoga, karma sannyas. If someone understands these 4 kinds of karma, then they will be able to understand the secret behind everything I've been explaining to you in the last couple days. These seemingly confusing statements of the scriptures and actions of the saints. So, karma, vikarma, karma yoga, karma sannyas. What is karma? Karma means good actions. Vikarma means bad actions. So let's start with these 2. Karma, as described by the Vedas, is of 4 types. You have nitya karma, naimittik karma, kamya karma, and prayashchitta karma. These 4 kinds of karma make up all the good actions that you have to do to be following the path of karma. So what is nitya karma? Nitya karma means actions that have to be performed every day. Certain prescribed actions of the Vedas, you can say rites of the Vedas, they have to be performed on a daily basis. But it's not the same for everybody. This path of karma, it's also called varnashram dharma. So depending on your role in the family, your role in the society, and also on your age, different things are prescribed. So for instance, someone who is doing the seva to the society of being a pandit, being a brahman, they have certain prescribed things that they have to do every day. For instance, they have to do prayers in the morning, prayers in the evening, that kind of thing. They're supposed to study Vedas, teach Vedas, perform yajna, give charity, accept charity, that kind of thing. But not everybody can be a Brahman. We also need other people doing other things in the society. So there are also people who administer the country, the county, the municipalities. There are people who defend the country, warriors. There are people who supply goods and supply food to all the people. And there are those who are skilled in doing certain types of labor, creating certain things. So they're all different types of people who play different roles in the society. And accordingly, Vedas have described different daily actions which should be performed by them. Some of them are like religious formalities that have to be performed, worshipping formalities. Some of them are, you can say, actions related to family duties, actions related to societal duties. Some of them are Vedic rituals, like doing yajna. So depending on your age, see, that's also, there are divisions, like up to age 25, everybody is considered brahmachari. So you're in the brahmacharya ashram. After that, you're in grihast ashram, you're a grihasthi. After that, you're in vanaprasth ashram, you're vanaprasthi. After that, after age 75, you're in sannyas ashram, you become a sannyasi. So you can imagine there are a lot of rules, because there are different rules depending on what role you're playing in the society. When you're under 25, when you're over 25, when you're over 50, when you're over 75, and it keeps changing. So that's why there's 80,000 mantras in the Vedas related just to this path of karma. All the different do's and don'ts for different types of people at different ages and different roles in the society and the family. So it's all explained in detail in the Vedas, and people are supposed to follow that. If you follow that, you're being a good person. Now, in addition to this nitya karma, there's also naimittik karma, which means occasionally there are certain other formalities which must be observed, such as upon the birth of a child, there are certain rituals, Vedic formalities, which must be observed. When you name the child, there's another ritual that has to be observed. The first haircut, the first anna, the first actual grains that the child eats. The first time the child rolls over on his own. There are different things prescribed by the Vedas for different times. Of course, marriage, then after a person dies, then there's another antim sanskar. So all of this is described in the Vedas, and if a person follows it, then they're considered to be dharmatma. They're a good person. There's also kamya karma. Kamya karma means if someone has a desire, there are certain Vedic rituals which are considered to be powerful enough to bring about the fulfillment of that desire in this very life. Normally we say that you do good actions, you'll be rewarded in your next life, but there are certain Vedic rituals that are very difficult to perform, and no one in Kaliyug can perform them, so don't start getting your hopes up. Like, oh, what's that? Which ritual is that? I'll perform that and fulfill my desires. In Kaliyug, it's not possible. One such ritual is called Putreshti Yagya. Dashrath ji performed this in order to get a son born to him. So through that, he had Ram born to him. So this kamya karma is the third type of karma. And then you have prayashchitta karma. This is how we repent for wrong actions that we've done. If we want to see if we do any pop and we don't repent for it in this life, then we get a bigger punishment in the next life. So if someone has done something wrong and they know they've done something wrong, every wrong action imaginable is accounted for in the Vedas, and it's told if you did this kind of wrong action, this is the penance for that, so that you can basically serve your sentence in this life. It's like pleading guilty for a lesser penance, a lesser sentence. If you plead not guilty and you're proven guilty, you'll get a bigger sentence. So you admit, I did wrong. Okay, now what good actions do I have to do in order to counteract that? Might be some austerities, some charity, some worshiping, repeating God's name, that kind of thing. It's all prescribed in the Vedas. So if someone follows all four kinds of these types of karma, then they're following the path of karma, as described by the Vedas, also in Purva Mimamsa, and many other dharma shastras. So what does a person get if they observe all of that? You get a better destiny in your next life. You're rewarded for your good actions by being reborn in this world and having more prosperity, less suffering. Or if someone was very great in following the path of karma, then they could go to Swarg. But you've already heard me describe about Swarg, that it's simply another part of this Mayic existence. It has nothing to do with the divine world. So going to Swarg is not going to the divine world. Going to Swarg is not going to God. The Vedas say, Pramudha, the one who goes to Swarg is a fool, extremely foolish. Avidyaya mantare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana dandramyamana pariyanti mudha andhe niyanaiva manayathandha. Kathopanishad says, the one who listens to someone else's speech telling him follow this path of karma so you can go to Swarg and enjoy is blind, and he's being led also by a blind person. So what will be the outcome of that? One blind person leading another blind person, both will fall in the ditch and fail to reach their goal. So Veda is saying there's nothing desirable about going to Swarg because it's temporary. Swarga hu swalpa anta dukkhadayi. Ramayana says the enjoyments over there are also negligible. They're trivial. Why? Well, even though they're hundreds, thousands, millions of times greater than the pleasures here, yet they still don't satisfy you. You still have the same greed for more because they're only material pleasures. So they're of the same type of pleasure you get here, just a more refined version. That's all. So the happiness over there doesn't satisfy you. It's not real happiness. And it's temporary. It doesn't last forever. So what's the use of doing that much effort to go over there? You use up all your punya. Chirne punye martya lokam vishanti. Gita says, once you use up your punya that you accumulated while you were here in a human birth, you did all that good karma, go to Swarg and enjoy the effect of that punya. But once it's all used up, you come back here, martya lokam vishanti. So what's the use of that much effort? You're no further ahead than when you started. Punyena punyalokam nayati papena papa mubabhyameva manushyalokam. Mundaka Upanishad says, by following the path of karma, you accumulate punya, and that results in going to Swarg. Now, even knowing all of this, if someone decides, but I want to follow the path of karma anyway, okay, then you should understand what you're getting yourself into. For instance, a big part of this path of karma is performing yajna. Whenever there's some special formality that has to be observed, it always includes doing yajna. So yajna is not as simple as what we did during Lori, where we just lit some fire and went around it, put some samagri in there. No. It's very strict. It's so hard to observe a proper yajna. Shadbhi sampadyate dharma. Dharma Shastra says, if you're going to do a yajna, you have to strictly observe 6 things. Bhagavatam says the same thing. Dharma sampadyate shadbhi. You have to observe all 6 of these things. They are, when you're performing the yajna, it has to be started at the right time. So that's why we have ways of determining what is the auspicious time to start something, what is not a good time to start something. We have this Jyotish, right? Jyotish is one of 6 Vedangas. It's an affiliate of the Vedas. So in this Jyotish Vedang, the means of determining what is the auspicious time to begin any Vedic formality and when to finish it also, it's all described. So that has to be correctly observed. Number 2, the place chosen for the yajna has to be correct. It has to be obviously a pure place. There are many rules just in order to determine what is the right pure place to have it. Even the formation of the Havan Kund will be different depending which type of yajna you're doing. And exact measurements are told that it has to be this deep, at this angle. Everything is described. In addition to that, the mantras being repeated in this yajna have to be pronounced exactly correctly. Not like when I'm sitting here in front of you and I quote some mantra. I'm not even, it sounds correct to you, but it's not correct if we were doing some Vedic yajna. To that standard, it's not, my Sanskrit is not that correct. You see, in Sanskrit, everything that you pronounce, first of all, the pronunciation of the vowels and consonants have to be exactly right, or the meaning of it changes. For instance, a simple word like sakal. Sakala means all, everything in Sanskrit. If someone pronounces it as shakal, it means a part of. Sa and sha, you have to be careful. Another word, sadasat or sat sat. Sat sat, sadasat. Two very different things. Sat sat means truth, truth. Sadasat means truth and untruth. So it's very subtle. You have to pronounce it exactly right. And even if you pronounce all the vowels and consonants correctly, which one you emphasize, which akshar, which sound you emphasize over another sound, that can also change the meaning of the mantra. You would think if you pronounce the word correctly, you'd have the same meaning, right? No. One time, there was a Rakshas, this demon, he was fighting against Indra. And he performed a kamya karm. He performed a yajna in order to increase his strength so that he could defeat and kill Indra. So he performed this yajna, but of course, it was hard for him to find any rishi who would want to help him. So he grabbed them forcefully and brought them and said, you have to perform this yajna on my behalf or I'm going to kill you. So those rishis said, okay, we'll do as you say. And the main mantra in this yajna was Indra Shatrur Vivardhasva, which means literally, the enemy of Indra should become stronger so that he can defeat Indra. And it's supposed to be pronounced with what's called adyudatta. In other words, emphasis in the beginning. Indra Shatrur Vivardhasva. They pronounced everything else the same, but they made it antyodatta. Emphasis on the end of the word Indra. Indra Shatrur Vivardhasva sounded the exact same to the Rakshas. So he had no idea. But simply by changing where the emphasis came in the very first word, the meaning of the mantra meant the enemy, meaning Indra, should become great, should become stronger and defeat his enemy. Simply by changing the intonation. Instead of the enemy of Indra should become strong and defeat Indra, it became the exact opposite. So he completed this yajna and then he went to war with Indra and Indra killed him. And as he was dying, he cried out to God, hey, this is anyay, this is injustice. I am also a child of yours, just as much as the Devatas are your children, so are the Rakshas and Asuras. We're all part of your Srishti. Why are you favoring them over me? I did this yajna. So God appeared and said, yes, you did the yajna, but don't you know what your rishis did? They changed the meaning of that mantra. He said, the demon said, yeah, but that's their fault, not mine. He said, no, that's not the way the Vedic rituals work. The Yajaman, the one having the ritual performed, is benefited by or punished because of what happens in that yajna. So, you see, the rules of performing a yajna are very difficult to follow. You also have to, the dravya. Dravya means what's offered into the fire, and also what's offered in charity to the people you've called to that yajna. So, the yajna itself can't just be performed with anything. Let's say, you see, a Brahman, it's described in the Vedas, the Brahman is supposed to make his living I think the bulb burnt out. Yeah, chortle. A Brahman is supposed to make his living only by reading, studying Vedas, teaching others Vedas, accepting charity, giving charity, performing yajna for oneself or for others. 6 ways a Brahman can earn his living. So, the dravya, what's going to be offered in that yajna, had to have been earned according to varnashram dharma. Any other dravya, it doesn't count. It's worse than doesn't count. It'll be considered pap. And instead of being rewarded for performing that yajna, you'll be punished. End up going to narak as a result. So you see, when it comes to these Vedic formalities like yajna, someone may say, but oh, God says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahrita mashnami prayatatmana. Gita. It doesn't matter what you offer me. If you offer it with love, I accept it. So what is all this about all these rules in the yajna? Rule number 5 being the Pandit performing the yajna, he has to be of pure mind and pure intention and have faith that what he's offering into the fire is being... Yajna is done for celestial gods, devtas. What he's offering into the fire is being accepted by them. The yajman also has to maintain purity of thought, purity of behavior, brahmacharya type of behavior during the whole yajna. He also has to have faith that his offerings are being accepted by the devtas. Only then, if you observe all 6 of those, do you get the correct result. And if not, instead of getting the correct result, meaning you accumulate punya to be rewarded at a later time, instead of that, you get punished. So, I thought God was dayalu, kind and gracious, and he even says in Gita, whatever you offer, if you offer it with love, I accept it. You can offer me water, a flower, a leaf, fruit, it doesn't matter. The inner love is the important part. Doing a yajna is not the same as doing bhakti. This statement in the Gita is for the path of bhakti. On the path of karma, a person's desire is either to enjoy swarg or to get a better destiny in his next life. And the entity, you see, although it's God who's giving you the phal of all of that, but when you're doing all these Vedic rituals, it's related to the celestial gods. They are not dayalu. They are not kripalu. They are very strict according to the rules. So either you follow the rules or you don't follow the rules. Follow the rules, get rewarded. Don't follow the rules, get punished. So this is the path of karma. As you see, it doesn't result in God realization, because the most it gives you is the attainment of swarg. So tonight we've covered only karma. Although vikarma is so simple to understand, that's the second kind of action. If you don't do all of these prescribed actions of the Vedas that I just spent the last 30 minutes describing to you, that's called vikarma. and you're punished, and you go to Narak, and you get a bad destiny in your next life. So you see, if you try to perform everything required of you on the path of karma and you make some mistakes, you're punished. If you give up and say, oh, I'm just not going to do it, you're punished. This is the path of karma. But there are two more kinds of actions I'm going to tell you about tomorrow, karma yoga and karma sannyas, which actually result in attaining God and getting freedom from Maya, and they give a person freedom from all of these strict rules. So how all of this works, I'll explain to you tomorrow, as well as why this path of karma is described if it doesn't even take us to our ultimate goal. I'll explain that to you as well. Boli Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.